Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the
Who Cares podcast.
My name is Cookie.
This is Jello.
This is Eshi.
Today's topic is I think I would say more fun than the previous
Lighter
one.
than the previous.
Exactly, lighter because our previous episode was a little bit controversial. It was a hot topic. We were very passionate about it to the point that nagpa-BP po si Jello after. So yeah, today's topic is all about the things we wish we were taught in school.
Millennial edition.
Oh, that's very important. Yes, because
Why do we need to say it's millennial edition? Because
exactly, we are navigating.
we ano?
Ay, ako po.
We are navigating. Millennial pa naman si Ja. Hindi pa
Hindi pa
naman
ako
siya baby
boomer.
girl.
Mean.
Oh my gosh. But yes, nag-age reveal po si Eshi. So we are navigating, our late 30s, early 40s. No, just kidding. And we are definitely experiencing challenges. I think all of us can relate to that. And we've spent like a quarter of our life at school. So definitely it would have been a helpful like part of our life if we were taught these things that would help us navigate in this season of our life, which is mag-ano na tayo, mag-enumerate.
Yeah, we have pre-selected some topics that in our current stage we feel like I was informed or I was more educated about this or I was given a head start.
Exactly.
So firstly, financial literacy.
The second one of my favorites, emotional intelligence.
And then we have Life Skills 101.
We will learn how to swim po, no? Just kidding.
Yeah.
And then the last one is handling emotion. So
Yep.
we're very excited. We're very passionate about these topics as well. And we are going to be relating our past experiences as well of how this could have been helpful if these were taught in school. Starting off with financial literacy. So again, it's from credit cards to savings, investing, managing debt, which is very important. And why didn't anyone explain about compound interest? Ano yan? No, just kidding. We're not
Until now, hindi pa din alam.
we're not financial experts. That's something that we would want to say, but we're just going to be sharing about the experiences that we had, the learnings that we had when it comes to when it comes to handling or managing our finances. So I think we will start off with our banker in the family, my friend Giles. You want to share anything about financial literacy?
Yeah. Well, later on in my life ba na-realize na ako na kanang gitudloon ta sa school na to no katang living below your means gani kay di ba especially when it comes to having your own job tapos receiving your own salary tapos kana ganing makuratan ka nga oh my god na ko'y kwarta unsaon kay dapat akong buhaton na nino kay I mean personally sa ako dati gyud is really wala ko yung ana nga ano ba wala ko yung ana nga notion nga kanang percentage of my salary should have went to savings, investment, kanang ana gani kay ako ginaisip lang so ano kay kanang asa na pud ko mukaon kanang na gani
Very
asa na
true.
pud ko asa na
First,
pud kaya
mga
ako ang
first 5 years when you're
no
working, diba?
not even na 5 years I think beyond pa ana sa ako ay kasi kanang kwan pud di ay kanang as a kanang youngest gani in the family so wala ko yung notion
Yeah,
nga
I can
ana
relate,
kanang
yeah.
murag late ko nga naka-realize na dapat maging ani day ko mag-save di ay at least kanang when it comes to rainy season sa imong life napod kay makuha ana gani pero kato lagi when if it has been taught sa school nga naatay ang ato nga fundamentals ba it would be really helpful especially sa karon nga mga Gen Z gani
True.
nga kanang not all the time di ay is kanang hayahay siya 'di ba napod day times nga you really need to experience mga hardships in life, mga kanang napoy mga financial na kanang mga struggles, 'di ba? So if that was really taught like really kato lang as simple as kanang percentage lang of your kanang own salary, 'di ba? Dili lang dai siya pwede nga kanang although syempre it's better nga kanang maka earn na kag imuhang imuhang own pero lahi gid gihapon to nga katong naapod kay somewhat percentage of your kanang salary nga naka-save, naka-add to sa investment kay later on maani gani nimo gihapon siya, 'di ba? Especially when it's really time to kanang murag wala na jud kay laing kapaingnan, 'di ba? Kay dili man pwede available lang always ang imong parents or imong siblings or even your friends, 'di ba? Kay dapat maging independent ka ba? 'Di ba no? Not all the time pwede ka makasalig sa mga people around you. There are times nga really nga imuhang kaugalingon lang ang dapat nimo di mo saligan. Tapos better po di ay nga kanang especially as a banker gani nga kanang when you grow old nga kanang naa na kay mga other na mga plans in life like applying for a loan and all that stuff kay better po na makabuild ka atong credit score or credit history nimo, 'di ba? Kay it's one way of really gauging you to how you are as a borrower or how you are as a payer sa imong mga debt obligations nimo.
Yeah. How about you, Maddie?
Thank you, Mr. Banker, for background information. Jello was in the finance industry for 15 years.
Yeah, more or less mga
Oo.
ingana.
For me naman, I wish I was taught in school about insurances and investment. So insurances murag nagkaroon man gud siya og bad picture siya w- during my time at least, during our time at least, because na remember ninyo ang CAP.
Yes.
Diba?
Mo gid to.
'Di ba
Mm.
daghan kaayo ko og kailato na they rely their college education ato nga insurance company and then na bankrupt siya. And then dili na trustful ang mga dili na naga-trust ang mga parents after about insurances or ginatreat na nila ang insurance as an extra thing that they need to think about when in fact sa abroad gani even a television needs to be insured. Right now everything that you can get insured you should get insured para in the future if you get into any trouble in a specific investment that you have then you're protected and covered. Remember Jen, ang term nimo for insurance is it's your protection. So it's not just a protection for your money, it's a protection as well if we talk about life insurance for the people you leave behind. Because also ang ako pong thinking before sa insurance is it's just life insurance like ang maka-benefit lang are the people you leave behind. Mura lang siya life insurance lang is pagmamatay. So daghan di ay types of insurances. There's investment, there's health, there's life,
Accident insurance.
accident
diba?
insurance, yes, car insurance na when you are navigating sa adulting mo, kailangan din na siya i-insure but you realize later ay helpful di ay siya. It's actually the little things na abi nimo dili siya helpful for insurance pero later down the road pag there are circumstances that's needing it, very helpful siya. For example, we traveled abroad and then ang friend in the let's call her by the name of May and Kathleen. Three names. So nasira ang iyahang luggage. But because the international travels require for you to have travel insurance, and then gi-comply lang namo siya not because we really want like if I can travel without travel insurance, 'di ba? Gina-skip like if Asia lang siya nga travel and then dili mga si immigration officer, why would I? Yeah, so medyo long haul to siya nga travel. So nakasecure siya og nakakuha siya og claims for the luggage with a big amount. So mga ingon ana na if we secure insurance for a car, why not secure insurance for the most important thing, which is your life insurance? And then, yeah, investment also. Investment, I think, is something na when you have like the extra money, apart from just savings, emergency fund or savings, you should secure 6 months of your daily living expense. So that is apart from savings pag yun. Because you should have an emergency fund, you should have a savings fund. Emergency, you should keep aside. Wala gyud ko knowledge about mga ingon ana. So savings and then syempre dili ni mo na siya i-touch but savings is like a sleeping fund na wala na siya naga-return or wala naga-invest of anything versus if ma-educate ko na there are investment options in insurances na you can invest it in stocks and even you can choose asa nimo siya i-invest, whether food, whether technology, whether advancements in things like that, kung gaano ka conservative or non-conservative. I wish na it was educated back then because the earlier you start the better. So at least ba dili ma-waste ang imuhang time when you were still earning. Like first 4 years or first 5 years when I was working, wow. I thought there's like it's just gonna keep coming and the bills are not gonna pile up. And then I thought it's the mag-change man good po ng imong lifestyle, like living below your means. Abi nimo, there's an infinite resource. Well, money can be infinite so long as you keep creating the funds for it as well. Pero if kabalo ka na to not put those effort into waste because gipagpaguran po na nimo and then invest it in something else, it would have been helpful. So those are the two things really: investment and then insurance.
Very
And then
helpful.
to add sa insurance, I remember I had a kanang workmate sa bank na nasunog ilahang balay ba. And then I asked him kung namoy fire insurance. Wala. So kadto nagkalisod sila like they really need to like source from their own funds, which is dili man kay sila yung anak ka financially secure ba, so na ngayo pa to sila tabang sa building namo for for additional funds. And then dato na ko na realize ba na better good nga naa gyud tay protection from those kinds of mga emergencies, kay di ba, kay for example kung nasunog man to ang ilahang balay, then insured sila, then makakuha sila, maka-claim sila sa insurance, just like what happened to your friend when you travel ba na kana ganing kadto naguba ang luggage, 'di ba? Same with na burn down ang ilahang balay. So dili na sila kailangan magkuha og cash from their own pocket, 'di ba? Kay nagpa-insure man sila.
Exactly. And those are very helpful. And if you are in the position currently wherein you don't have yung parang means to really save up, because I think maybe you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's good that you start educating yourself on like how to, because currently, although it wasn't taught in school, we wish it was taught in school so we could have started earlier. There are a lot of like online resources wherein you can educate yourself, really help yourself learn how to use your money wisely. Because again, your real currency is your time, and when you have financial freedom, you are buying freedom for yourself as well. That's why it's very important that we educate ourselves. It's not too late. There's
Sure.
always like ways and different, how do I say that? I think one of the best ways to say that is really prioritize financial freedom, I would say, in especially in every season of your life. So yeah, thank you so much, friend, and Maddie, for really sharing the bits, the golden nuggets when it comes to securing ourselves financially. That's very helpful. That's a really helpful conversation to have. The next one is also something that we wish we were taught in school, because as you really, grow, mature, and at the same time face life's realities, you are handling a lot of, how do I say that, emotion. And research shows that this is as important as IQ. So it's called emotional intelligence. We were not aware of this before. I think this is more of like a recent topic. And it's very important because emotional intelligence means that you are aware of your own emotions and you're also aware of other people's emotions. It would help us to communicate better, how to deal with different personalities, and how to also deal with your own emotions. Na again, we are adults, but sometimes there are times wherein we're handling big emotions, if that makes sense. Knowing how to really react in a way that wouldn't have like big consequences in a bad way. So yeah, let's talk about emotional intelligence both in career growth and relationship. Oh, diba? Career growth. How do you apply, or how do we wish emotional intelligence was taught in school so that we would know how to really like work with others in our career? If that,
With others.
yeah, if that makes sense. My friend, you wanna share anything?
Yeah, I think it would have been better kung gi-introduce ta what empathy is, what it could really help us navigate katong sa mga intricacies sa ato ang work, 'di ba? How to handle different kinds of emotions, kay um it is better ba nga kanang naatay introduction sa ingani na klase nga emotions di ay, kay even recognizing na there is something as empathy man di ay, no, nga kanang ano, kay I think so no, for me personally wala ko kabalo naday empathy naday, di ba? Unsay meaning sa empathy murag ing ana, di ba, kay as I grow older murag mo din ni siya murag bago siya nga term for me ba. And then if na-introduce ni siya sa ato earlier, helpful kaayo siya especially sa ato ang life as katong me as a banker or kanang nakasulod ko sa corporate world ba kay you deal with different kinds of people, different kinds of kanang mga pressures, 'di ba? So better nga mas na-handle unta nako siya katong mga pressures sa along the way ba nga kanang you don't need to lash out sa katong kung naakalay ka ng certain kind of kanang emotion nga you feel nga kanang usa man ni uy murag it's an overwhelming experience for me pero if kato if you have empathy to yourself and to others I believe kanang better nimo siya nga handle like you should have you could have handled it gracefully gani 'di ba and then along the way you could have built a better relationship with your kanang coworkers or people that you meet along the way but not just in your kanang work but just everyday people na you just meet along the way ba kanang it goes a long way di ay if you have empathy nga in different stages of your life murag ing ana gani kay kato murag 'di ba it's like being kind is kanang dali lang gid ay siya.
Exactly. And I think one of the ways for us, since we're dealing with different personalities, you're talking about empathy, it's easier to do that if you are aware of what we call personality traits, which actually is passionate about. Somebody, can you share something about that? How that relates to, like it wasn't taught in school. We were just aware that there was introvert, extrovert, but not to that extent.
So it's all fun and games, high school and college, growing yourself, building relationships of what we thought would last forever. And then here comes you need to work, you need to deal with people, you need to stand up for yourself, you need to deal with conflicts. And so you have to realize na it's not about, sabihin lang na siya kay introvert na siya, relationship story eh. Kasi hindi lang na siya sana pa siya kay extrovert na siya. There are different types of personalities, which I recently, maybe 2 years ago, was introduced to me by our boss na part of the teaching is to learn about the Enneagram, which is there are 9 there are 9 personality styles sa par. Dito mag-enumerate. But there are 9 personalities and sometimes you have your highest strength na personality and then you have like your wing personality na later on na guys na po, imo na to day siya because there is an achiever, there is na empathy, yung focus na I giver, na I romantic, na I again, di na ko siya ma-member. Quiz po ito. Ito na yung different personality na if I was better educated and taught in school, mas makasabot ko na, performer siya. Observer siya. So, if performer siya, okay, I'll give her more na iwan hali dapat aniyahang focus or if observer siya, okay, so dili siya dapat sa analyzing people and all that. So, when it comes to conflict or when reaching to the part na or you don't even have to reach that part of conflict because you know how to deal with the person respectfully magana gani so very important I think to let the children are that lead to let the children select
My song number.
so kaya just know pong before na there are these different types of personalities and whether you like it or not you'll have to deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very, just like what Ashley said, we don't have, as we grow up, we go into different jobs. We don't have a choice but to deal with different people and to be equipped with that knowledge that there are different personality traits is very important because, again, you would know how to deal with them. And I think one of the things that I would say where emotional intelligence really plays a big part, especially if you are in a leadership role or if you're tasked to maybe teach, present, it's good that you're aware of kind of like the nonverbal cues. You're aware na if a certain group is kind of bored na, you would know how to deal with these people. If there's a certain situation, again, that involves conflict solving, emotional intelligence is a very, very helpful tool. Which again, it doesn't have to be an entire curriculum. Maybe, just one session telling us that these are the things that you will be handling in the future and these are the best ways to kind of cope and really deal with them. So that's very important. I would say, with the current generation, with our generation, we're kind of learning these things as we go. But again, if we had a head start, an earlier head start, it would be much better. Another thing that we wish were taught in school, which is very important, it really involves life skills, just like it's a course. No, just kidding. It's life skill 101. So this might be what do you call that? A longer topic, but we really wish this was taught in school.
Yeah, bitaw I agree. I wish nga na ay mga certain things nga gitudlo sa school ba, like as simple as how to replace a bulb, 'di ba? A light bulb in your at home, or how to properly use this kind of tool, like 'di ba? Unsa may sa una ambot lang kung natudlo na, pero kanang unsay purpose sa katong star screw, unsay purpose sa flat screw, unsay purpose sa kanang yabi tubo, kanang
Lakay,
nga
lakay
kailangan
sila
din siya,
na.
'di ba? Exactly, kana ganing ginakuan sa
Ikaw,
kanang mag-change ka og
yabi
faucet.
tubo.
Yabi tubo man na katong unsa na in English, nakalimot ko unsa na siya in English.
O, di ba wala
But
ko kabalo?
it's like a wrench man yata ang yabi tubo na ano, so kanang 'di ba wala tayo nakabalo og ana nga kailangan din nato magpalit.
Admittedly.
No? 'Di ba? I mean, kanang very helpful unta siya kaayo ba nga natay fundamental knowledge sa ing ato na klase nga mga stuff ba, kay like for example kanang mag-change og faucet, kailangan di atong puti nga katong murag
Na-experience
ana-ana.
na ko na katong kailangan na namo magpa-repair kay nag-leak na day male and female.
Yes, naa day ang ana.
Yes,
Yes, tama.
naa.
No, exactly, tama na day. Pero we didn't know that, 'di
Yes,
ba?
so pagpalit na ko na wrong ko, so gibalik pa sa tubero. No,
'di
wrong
ba?
na siya.
Okay, naa day siya male ug female. Di mga, 'di ba exactly, naa day mga
Magbida-bida
ingana.
pa ako. No, love ako na ang mupalit. So nipalit na ko, wrong siya. Ay, ana di ay.
Pero imagine kung natudlo na siya sa atoa. I mean, just the basic fundamentals na magud nga atong kailangan. Kaya anyway, we could learn that along the way man ang katong mga in-depth na gid na katong mga necessary na
Hindi
mga
po kami
knowledge.
engineers, but
Diba?
at least the basic.
Diba? I mean, just the basic, kay it would kanang teach us nga kanang okay natin mga ing-ani nga stuff, no? Nga kanang naday tay kailangan na dili lang day pwede nga kanang kanilang na tool lang atong gamiton tapos wala ni nga klase nga tool di ay, di ba, murag kailangan partner day ni silang duha kanang ingana good ingana gyud nga kanang dapat di ay ang kanang naday tay mga wires na ingani, or naday different kinds of wires for different kinds of appliances, di ba, for different kinds of kanang mga saksakanan kanang may ingana good. So helpful unta siya kaayo ba kung naatay mga ing ato nga mga basic knowledge lang nga murag maka-navigate taw easier sa ato ang life later on.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, household chores, household maintenance. Yeah, when I got married, I'm like, "Oh, important, okay." And then I resort to just paying someone to do it because wala man ko kabalo when. Pwede ra unta to nga nakabalo ta because we were taught. Also, the other thing na life skills that I think is important is establishing healthy habits. Um like nutrition, exercise, stress management, those sounded like basic. Pero right now in my 30s is when I started doing my morning ritual. And it really eased my day and helped me plan out the rest, not just my day, but having lenses with planning out the year, having a vision board. So it's not it's not taken seriously, but the impact that it has when you actually have a clear lens of how you want your 5-year plan to go, your year to go, your quarter to go, it gives you a direction. And then not a day na you're just sitting there and then lounging in social media for half a day, and I'm like, ooh, the day's done. So ingon nato before na parang kailangan di ay nga na I plan na I have to have how to have a perfect day. And then when I've achieved that, then I can do everything else. Ana gani, you should have like at least a roadmap. It doesn't mean na the 5-year plan will go perfectly, but you have a map at least. You're not like you did not have a target throughout the rest of your planning. You'll be surprised to say, oh, na-tick off din na ko lahat. But that would be very odd to have to say, huh, nahitabo na lagi ni no. It should be something na will happen because you have intentionally set your mind for this to happen, which is important. Mura siya, it's easy to say it's life skill, but when you really know the things that you should be doing, it's very, very helpful. So I wish na nagitulo na siya sa school.
Exactly. It's really, I think the basic one that, I wish were taught in school was just like what Ashley said, planning. Because planning involves living your life, just like she said, purposely and intentionally. you don't just let your day go by, or going through the motions, and then bam, 5 years is up. Like, what have I done in those 5 years? If we were given that yung parang vision at school, now you can do a lot of things in 5 years. You just have to make sure that you plan it out. And of course, as a Christian, you give it to the Lord as well. Another thing that I wish were taught in school, because I'm a tarantita. There are times where, during emergencies, I would just like freeze, or I would even panic. One of the things that I wish were taught in school was, what's the first thing that you can do in an emergency, right? I think other schools were taught, I mean, other countries, I would say Japan, as simple as crossing the street, as simple as washing your hands. I think we were taught in school how to wash our hands, but not the,
During pandemic na, oy.
oh, diba?
Mas
Yung
na-magnify
parang the
siya,
basic
no?
skills ba? So, like, what do you do in an emergency? Who do you call? Or even, we were taught CPR when we enrolled in Red Cross. But that's it. Yung parang, I wish these skills were taught in school as well, because that's something that can save a life, if that makes sense. If we're all aware of how to do it, it's
First
not
aid.
first aid, exactly. So, like, what's the proper way to do first aid for someone that might have been hurt or something like that. So, it's a very good life skill 101 that we could have been taught in school. And another thing, since I don't want to bring politics again, but it's one of our rights.
Hindi. We will talk. Pahabain natin to.
Pahabain po namin ang conversation about it. But yes, just really, when you become 18, maybe a reminder from school that, hey, you now have the right to vote, blah, 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 educate yourself about these and that. It would be helpful, because the children are really the hope for the nation. If they don't register themselves as a voter, if they don't educate themselves as early as now, who are the politicians that are really, making a difference, that really has a heart for public service? We would always have this cycle of just voting because sila ang, again, nepotism, sila ang favored and all. But anyways, yeah, those I think are the life skills. Even swimming, I wish we had that, yung parang
Huy na ah.
in college, we had like, yung parang it's an option. Meron kayo?
Wala sa amo ang school. Depende sa school, guys.
Oh my God.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Especially sa mga private schools
Yes.
yata.
So it depends. I know
Ano siya.
I encountered that in college, but it was not for everyone. It's for specific, yung parang sa physical education.
Which is not nice. Kasi nga nung kailangan nga, dapat ma-afford gid mo na siya.
Mm.
When in fact, it's very important to learn how to
It's a
swim.
life skill.
Yeah, it's a life
Like,
skill.
what if, the bangka or something, we're near water. So we're a tropical country.
Again, it leads to like, what's the government doing? So public school, butangan nila og pools, maglisod sila, no?
or
so it's
there
a budget.
are like, budget,
Diba?
or private, something na once a week.
Sa flood lang daw mag-swim.
Oh no.
Pero pito no, naisip ko karon very nice gid siya na skill no nga kanang as an archipelago country ba nga kanang surrounded with waters kay it's a must dapat na kabalo ta
True.
'di ba? Even just kanang murag floating lang or
Yes.
something, 'di
Exactly,
ba no?
because
Mm.
there are a lot of yung parang lives taken because they don't know how to swim. I
Yes.
have a lot of friends who, as old as we are, we don't know how to swim. I'm not good at swimming. I know how to swim at least because I took swimming lessons. But
Yeah, but you know
Mhm.
what I've read somewhere years before ba na kanang why people are drowned out. It's not because they don't know how to swim, but it's because they panic. Yeah, so it should also be taught ba when there is a kanang swimming lesson gani nga kanang those kinds of ganing mga statistics and all that kay it's also very important nga even if you know how to swim but you don't kanang collect yourself ba when emergency comes because that is the most basic important thing to do really is to calm yourself.
Mhm.
It might be challenging to other people but you should know that you need to be calm and collect yourself kay if you are aligaga you really can't do anything
Noted,
helpful kay
Jel.
diba?
Like,
Pero I mean
noted, Jel.
I think ano na siya we should learn how to do that later on in our life kay kadto if you don't know how to be calm then most probably.
Now, pag gani situation, di ba, na a person who knows how to swim trying to save a drowning person can drown the other because nagpanic ang isa. So, dili siya
Yes,
ka-swim
oo. So,
properly.
dapat sumbagunin mo siya, ano ni mo siya,
Oo.
kuya
Because
pulo
ano na siya, nagpanic na siya,
Pero exactly, tinuod na, nga kanang kamo ng duhay noon ang ma-drown.
man-drown.
So that's why it's very important because if you're aware of it, you have that yung parang basic knowledge na when you're in that situation, this is the best thing that you can do. So
You will know how to handle those kinds
Yeah,
of kanang ano na
true.
situations,
Yeah.
diba? If it was taught kanang early on ba,
Oh,
diba?
exactly.
And it's not nice na kailangan pa nimo siya i-afford. Like,
No?
kailangan pa ka mag-private school or kailangan ka mag-hire og like other groups to teach you or other coach to teach you or parents who I know some parents who at a very young age enroll nila ilang anak to but pasabot kailangan pa nila to have that amount para they're able to swim and survive life when time comes na kailangan nila, no? So
Exactly. So those are the things, especially under that bracket na life skills. The things we wish were taught in school. The next one, also very important because again, as adults, we encounter a lot of things. We encounter hardships. We encounter confusing times, and that involves really handling emotions. So, with our current situation, it's a unique time for us because as millennials, we were able to see anong tawag dyan? The internet and the non-internet days and the pressure these days because of social media is kind of different from what we had when we were kids, right? Yung parang the stress now is kind of different. I don't know. We have that generational gap. That's why it's very important for us to know as well how to handle big emotions, if that makes sense. So, I wish we were taught in school how to regulate our emotions. Another thing is, we're gonna talk about this and really tie it up to our like kind of experience as well. Building resilience, very important, right? Yung parang I think I can talk about this. I'll start with this one first because it's how do I say that? It's normal that you get stress. But it's important to know the difference between anxiety, between depression, because those are something that I would say common in this generation. But when you know how to handle these emotions, when you know that this is part of life, when you know that you cannot build emotional resilience if you don't go through hardships, it's different. Yung parang now kasi with the current generation, they're kind of used to having things very convenient. For us, again, just like what I mentioned earlier, we were taught na we still had that hardship when we were young. We were not given everything in an instant. Now kasi yung parang everything is in an instant. You can just order anything online, blah blah blah, but the convenience is there. For our generation, it wasn't as much, but one of the things that I really want us to understand is yung parang school could have given us a norm na you're gonna face difficulties in life. You're gonna have anxiety, you're gonna face fear, and it's something that we shouldn't take negatively because that's how you build resilience. That's how you build emotional strength. It's something that you don't go away from. I don't necessarily say na you embrace it by giving yourself or putting yourself into situations that would build emotional resilience. But what I'm saying is accept that in life you will have difficulties. This is how you can navigate through them, and by overcoming that you become a stronger and a better person, right? O diba medyo ano tayo, emotional tayo doon. How about you, Mari?
handling emotions, what I wish was taught in school, handling emotions. The world right now is very loud. Like you can get all different emotions and energy from social media, from friends, from people you don't know, influencers, and it's so easy to be reactive and to just parang join the bandwagon or just join the cloud. Okay. Modern na siya karon na. Okay, nepo babies are even not educating yourself on what they are and then you just go mad. So having the self-awareness, I wonder how that will be taught in school, ha? So self-awareness, what I've learned though, because I have the handling emotions that I have learned through the years is, because before, I'm very reactive. Like sa social media, i-share gid na ako kanang, I think na-share na ako before na mag-cringe gid ko ay basta makita na ko kong memories na murag, unsa daw? Sa daw yung ingon. Pero, for example, experiencing conflicts. So what I've learned with experiencing conflicts and connecting that to self-awareness. So you had away with maybe a friend or someone you are actually not very connected with. One very important quote that I read that I live by, na-share ba na ako? So, ano siya, kaning tongue twister. Tongue twister. So, mo na siya, guys.
Very tongue twister nga.
So, I live by that. I know, I can't remember where I read it, pero,
Dapat good ba i-remember?
wait, wala, dili na lang na ako i-share, Jel. So, regarding self-awareness and handling my emotions when I have conflicts with other people is that, the quote said, what Susie says of Sally says more of Susie than of Sally. Remember that. So, how people reflect themselves, how people react, how they think, how they speak is a reflection of them, not of you. So it is also dependent on you, on how you receive it and how you react. So like that, mga handling emotions pa ba? Not everything is about you. Diba? Don't take anything, well, maybe it's culture, maybe it's the environment that we are with, but not everything is about you, so don't take everything personal na, oy, targeted gid ko ano niya sa iyang. But wala lang to siya, di ba? And also, naalang gid to siya yung range that time. Empathy, di ba, Jel? Parang, lahi lang gid ang iyang, again, being bad is because sa iya ha tama to, but sa imuha mali to. So, how do you react to that? Do you respond in the same way, in the same energy? So, mga handling emotions like that, I wish I was taught back then.
Ako ako yung personal experience with regards to handling emotions ba. Kaya I remember when I graduated in high school, kanina siya nga feeling is called sepangs di ay katong separation anxiety ba, pero I didn't even know when sepangs or separation anxiety nga word kay kana ganing na murag na ano siya na invent siya ba, pero during that time katong pag-graduate na ako sa high school kana ganing ala na ay something na kanang loneliness ako ang kaugalingon ba nga na feel na ko nga oh my god dili na mi magkita sa akong mga barkada because I had very close friends man gid sa high school ba. And then during that time nga katong pag-graduate kay wala no dili na mi magkita unsaon na nako ni kana ganing feel na ko no kay lonely kay ko or empty kaayo ko nga kana ganing. Pero if it was taught na kanang naaday mga ingani na klase nga different
Types
kinds
of
of emotions
emotions,
gani,
yeah.
and then how to handle it properly ko. So I murag na ano ko dapat ato murag na free ko dapat ato na kanang ganing murag dilemma ba kay kanang dili kami magkita unsaon naman ninyo kanang ganing feeling na ako kay ako lang isa gani kanang it's
Instead
me
of
against
getting-
the world ba nga kanang
Yeah.
instead of me yata nga kanang getting kanang uy kanang mingaw kay ko sa inyo ha ba or
Reaching
mingaw na
out,
kay ko sa
oo.
inyo ha kanang ingana gani nga I could have been more open gani sa ako ang emotions gani nga kanang nga even to my family or to my and to my friends also ba nga kanang nadi ko ingani nga ginaagian pero murag giluom na ako to siya ba or ano na ako to siya sa akong kaugalingon ba na, and then later on na found out na ko nga okay si Punks day to ana gani siya nga okay kanang mas na sabta na ko ba nga okay then it's normal to have those kinds or to feel those kinds of experience ba nga kana ganing moabot di siya sa imuhang life nga kana ganing wala lang murag, and then it just so happen na kanang murag later on nga kanang okay mas kabalo na ko nga naa daing ani na klase nga emotions and then how to properly deal with it nga na gani. So I wish na ato yung ato na klase nga kanang ano nga kanang murag basic knowledge lang ba no
Para
nga,
dili ka ma-stuck. You know how to move forward, but then i-feel gihapon nimo siya nga emotion.
yeah, and then how to acknowledge it gyud yata kay di ba by not acknowledging it nga it's there, I think it will kana ganing manifest later on in your life gani, 'di ba nga kanang mag ano siya kanang mag-create hinuon siya another set of problem ba nga it could have been resolved in your early life if na-acknowledge to siya nga emotion ba. So I wish na ato yung mga ato kanang lang gyud mga basic really kanang mga fundamentals lang gyud on how to properly acknowledge and then elaborate nga existing din ni siya nga klase nga mga feelings dili din ni siya ino-a lang murag ana gani no kana ganing murag sa una man gud murag kung maka-experience ta og mga murag foreign na kanang mga emotions nga dili aware ang atong mga parents or ang katong mga older generations ba nga kanang mo na sila nga OA ra man kakaayo oy kanang unsa naman na oy nga unsa naman kang bataa ka nga daghan naman kay kagaartihan kanang murag meaning ana gud, and then makakos siya sa tuwa o kato anxiety na hinuon, and then dili di ko pwede maka-feel og ani, di ba? I mean kanang murag ma-force ka nga kana ganing dili siya i-acknowledge, and then i baon nimo siya sa imong kaugalingon ba, then later on in life nga kanang normal naman di nga klase nga feeling, di ba? Normal naman di nga klase nga emotion nga why was it not introduced to me early on, kay I could have kanang processed it properly and handled it well, and then kanang mas na-handle na ako ang life in general in a better kanang way ba, ano unta gani no.
Exactly. The technicalities of handling both big positive and negative emotions, right? Because there is a way on how to do it, especially now that we are learning. I'm very, very blessed that currently I'm in the trauma healing space. And one of the things that I learned was when you are in a very, how do I say that? A challenging, yung parang when you are facing a big emotion that's more than your handling capacity, one of the things that you have to do now is acknowledge that emotion, which is very nice. Yung parang, if it's fear, then feel the fear. After that, you have to create a safe space for yourself. I can't go into details, but one of the things is, to look at your surroundings just to really know that you're safe. And then what for Red and I were talking about it, my best friend yesterday. We're in as a Christian, how do I apply this? Yung parang creating a safe space for me as a Christian. And one of the things that I really, really, it's definitely yung parang the Holy Spirit talking to me is you have to understand that you have a God that has nothing but good intentions for you. Yung parang that's a very good way to put myself in a very safe space. Yung parang I have a God that's the only intention that he has for me is good things. Yung parang, okay, after that, I feel safe. So, it's one of the things now that I keep to yung parang I say to myself to create a safe environment to move through with that negative emotion because they're normal. You're not weak for feeling fear, for feeling anxiety, or even depression. You just need the tools to equip yourself on how to go through and process those big emotions. So, yun, I think just
I like the word safe space because like what Jello said, we were not given the safe space. Like, if i-share na to sa parents, nun sa naman ka, oy. If i-share na to sa friends, i-judge ta. So, it's important to have a safe space. And talking about Christianity, we should also not say na, or we should not think about the Lord in a way where we say, if all else fails, I run to God. If murag last resort, gibahan mo si Lord. The number one safe space you have in committing everything is the Lord. So then you don't have to reach that part to say when all else fails, because when you commit something or in anything that you do, you know that everything happens for a reason. Everything just falls into place. So yeah.
I agree. And with that, I think we can wrap up our conversation, our thoughts, and I hope we were able to impart, a few knowledge, earned wisdom as well, because I think we're at an age wherein we have experienced a few things.
Yeah, and hopefully they get to pick up some things here and there we hope na makarelate mo and say, oh, nagkaroon po kog struggle na financially ba unta gitudluan ko da, or oh, kanang wala pud ko gitudluan about atong handling emotions.
Yes. And then, I mean, pwede po nila i-share sa tuwa ilahang mga personal experience via comments, or even if maulaw sila nga kanang sa atua mag-share sa comment section, they could DM us, and then share it to us kung unsa tong mga experiences nila nga naka-relate sila sa atong discussions during this episode.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you have reached this part of our episode, really, really appreciate you. And again, from all of us, thank you so much. And we'll see you on the next episode of the
Who Cares podcast.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.